Are you able to say roughly how many people like are actually a part of MicroProse?
Yeah, I would say between 50 to 70.
Oh wow.
It's the company is larger than I thought it was when I first joined. I thought it was just, half a dozen guys, but over time I started to realize that there's a lot of people working for MicroProse.
That's actually pretty encouraging. I know, in our
Yeah.
podcast where we talked about it the other day, some of the announcements weren't super clear, so it almost sounded like it could have been like two guys in a truck or something. I wasn't super clear on how many people they were, but 50 to 70, that's a pretty big operation right out of the gate.
Yeah, it is. It is. It wouldn't be easy to get the 70 guys inside a Volkswagen bus. We tried, but yeah, we just had to. Yeah, well, when I first heard about the return of MicroProse, I kind of had the same feeling that you guys probably had, and I heard, like I said, I heard your podcast about, not your last one, the one before that, about MicroProse, and I related with a lot of things that you guys said on that episode, which was, we didn't actually know what was going on. We didn't actually know who was behind it, or the first thing that I thought, to be honest, when I saw MicroProse was coming back, was to think, this is some guy just milking the brand, just grabbing, someone just bought the brand and they're going to milk it. But then I started looking into what David Legacy did and does, and I started talking with him, and I just realized, yeah, well, this is serious. This is actually serious, and this guy is just one of us. One of the guys that used to play MicroProse games back in the old days, and he has this urge, this crave, this intense will of getting MicroProse back into the market as the company it was before. So yeah, I was very excited and very surprised when I heard about the size of the company and what David had in what planned for the company.
Yeah, I mean that for me that's really exciting. I know I had some reservations, as I think I talked about in our previous podcast. I also had some excitement. I mean, I know David, he's been involved in a lot of successful ventures previously. I believe he was involved in like the early days of Arma, and obviously that
Yeah,
turned out very well. But still, to your point, anytime you hear something like an old classic brand coming back, knowing that there are other game companies that have, not fulfilled the promise that you hoped, there's a natural little bit of skepticism, I think. But it's good to hear that it seems like you guys are really going full bore right at it.
To follow up on that, I'd like to ask, why do you think that David chose to not just make his own game studio, but why do you think he was interested in acquiring MicroProse itself?
yeah, it was what I just said. He was very passionate about MicroProse. He's always been very passionate about MicroProse. He has highest respect for the brand and for what the brand did, and I can relate to that because I grew up playing MicroProse games, and when MicroProse, well, didn't shut down, but was just kind of like ghosted and just put on the shelf. I was very disappointed because a lot of the best games I ever played in my life were from MicroProse, and the same happened to David, and he just wants to recapture that spirit. That's the thing. The way I'm not trying to advertise MicroProse or trying to sell MicroProse to you guys, but the way MicroProse is working with publishers is very different from what a lot of other companies are doing, and it's all in the spirit of what MicroProse was, and it's that same spirit that David is trying to get back, into the industry. He just wants to do as as good of a work as MicroProse did back in the days, following that same spirit, bringing the same type of games, and giving you that sense of I would say perhaps a different sense of fulfilling when you're playing these games, a sense of progress and being part of something and being part of a story, being part of a world, of a universe that developers are creating for you. I think that is the main thing that made David not just build his own company, because he could have, He has other companies. He could have just, released a new brand, but he wants to bring the old MicroProse, the actual old MicroProse back from the dead and just push it through the next years.